Okay, welcome to the Learning Lounge. I'm Wayne Lippa, the 2024 to 2026 U of L Board of Governors Teaching Chair. And with me today is the 2025 Excellence in Teaching Award winner, Ms. Jenny Burke.
Hi, I'm Jenny Burke. I'm an instructor in biology where I teach the first year diversity of life course and also some senior level botany courses.
Congratulations on winning the Excellence in Teaching. It's well deserved and
thanks.
Long time coming.
Thank you. Yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah. Tell me what does winning the ETA mean to you?
The award is a huge honor, but I sort of think about it as winning it, I guess, alongside the hundreds and hundreds of students that I've taught over the past year. So it's a joint award, is how I like to think about it.
I'll bet they're happy that you won it too.
Oh, I hope so.
Now, you and I have known each other for, let's just say, several years and leave it at that.
Yes, several years.
But for the viewers at home who maybe haven't known you that long, tell us a little bit about yourself, your area of expertise, your teaching.
Yeah, so I think I've always known I wanted to be a teacher, and so I grew up not far from here, 11 kilometers to be exact, and I did my undergraduate here at the University of Lethbridge, and I got an education degree, a biology degree, and then I moved away. I moved to Asia and lived in Korea and taught in Korea, and then when I came back, I ended up teaching high school chemistry in Fort Macleod. And so I was a high school teacher for a number of years, I think 6 or 7 years. And then my husband and I went traveling again. And then when we came back, I started grad school here at University of Lethbridge with Dr. John Bain. And I really love teaching high school. I think it's a super important job. But I always knew I wanted to go to grad school myself. So I did my grad school here. We did a chunk of time at UBC. And then came the decade of contract work, because it's hard to get an academic position. So I worked at U of A, the college, I worked at the research station. So I sort of cobbled together 10 years of work. And finally, a position came up here in 2016. And so I applied. And I got the job, and I'm thankful every day. So
and here you are now.
And here I am. Yeah.
Wow, that is a diverse background.
Yeah, I always say I really have taught sort of every level. I mean, we were just talking about our practicum experiences, and I've taught elementary. I think the only group I actually haven't taught is kindergarten. But lots of subbing, like between traveling and coming back. I did some stints in grade 7. The high school I taught it was 8 through 12. So even though I was hired to teach high school chemistry, I taught, middle school math, science. They even had me teach drama. I was quite possibly the worst drama teacher in the history of, drama teachers. But and then college, university. So I really have taught at all the levels, and I think it's really helped me, I guess, develop my chops, as it were, and
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's your teaching philosophy then?
This is something that, of course, is evolving all the time, but I really now am focused on relationships. So at the beginning, when I first was hired to teach biology, and I'm teaching Bio 1020, there's 180, 200 people in my class, and I was terrified because I thought, well, who am I to be standing up here talking about animals when I did graduate work in plants, for example, and I was mostly focused on content, right? Like, did I know the content? Could I make it through a 50-minute, 75-minute lecture and look like I knew sort of what I was talking about? But then after, once or twice, I sort of looked up and there were students out there and they didn't look all that enthused. They looked pretty bored, actually. And so that really made me stop and think, what am I doing? Like, why am I up here if I'm just reciting words and lecturing and there's zero connection? And what do I want my philosophy to be? So if I had to summarize it, I would say developing relationships. So because I teach in the big first year course, it was a big challenge for me. But actually that was really good because it really caused me to focus and try to figure out how am I going to develop relationships with 180 students. And it kind of felt like there was this big glass divide between me at the front, at the podium, right? And then everybody in the audience. And so I kind of had to smash my way through that. And developing relationships is the best way, I think, to teach students, to have a relationship where learning is active and it works. It's a nice atmosphere, and you develop a safe space for the students to ask questions and make mistakes. And that's when I've noticed things like test exams. The exams, the averages are getting higher, and I know my students and they feel comfortable approaching me, and that sort of divide between me and them is less, right? There's not that big a divide. So relationship building is the most important thing to me now. And it's really what I spend all of my time sort of focusing on. How can I develop relationships with my students?
Great.
Yeah.
I just got a big image of you now punching your way through a glass.
Well,
through a glass wall now.
Yeah, gently pushing aside. Yeah.
Okay, so and you say you teach some third year courses.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of those students in your third year courses then too?
I do. Yeah.
How is that different than teaching them in first year?
Yeah, so first year, it's really for me class size. They're big. They're just starting out, so I just want them to keep on being biology majors, keep on taking biology classes, right? Sort of develop that interest, and then I advertise pretty hard for my third year class, my senior level field botany class, and that's sort of what I was trained to teach, I guess. Field botany, going out into nature, into the land, and knowing what's there, being able to recognize, using their toolkit, so to speak, to identify. And with a smaller senior level class, things like going outside, having your classroom expanded to include the outside world is probably what I've spent most of my time doing. I mean, of course, teaching a field class, being outside is a normal thing, a natural thing, but because it's a smaller group, we can go various places throughout southern Alberta, and I can really start incorporating the idea of where we are, where the University of Lethbridge is situated, both in Lethbridge and in southern Alberta, and taking some of those, aspects of truth and reconciliation and adding those in and trying to teach students about where the university is, a little bit about the stories of the plants, and moving my classroom outside. Again, just easier in a group of 20 or 40 than 180. Yeah.
You said you take them all around southern Alberta?
Yeah, so assuming I get my insurance forms and everything organized, we usually do 4 big field trips, and so trying to look at all types of habitats that our Alberta plants grow. And so we go to the coulees here, and then we go to the Porcupine Hills. We go to the Crow's Nest Pass to look at sort of subalpine, and then we go out to the field station and Waterton to look at sort of the mountain plants. And,
okay, so you do really go all over southern Alberta.
We do, yeah. It's really fun.
Okay. Now, would you say you're a different teacher now than when you started?
Well, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully I was. I remember the first time I stood up in front of a group of kids or students, I would write out a script, like every single word, and I would memorize it, like pages and pages. And then I'm standing in front, and I would have to read in my brain my script. And again, anybody could have been in front of me, or nobody. Like, it didn't matter. And now I hopefully have gone beyond that and look at the students that I'm teaching and try to be a little bit more engaging than just reading a script out of my head. And again, that sort of movement of focus from content to relationships. I think that's the biggest change in me over the course of 30 years. So I hope that I have become certainly better, but again, more focused on relationship building than content. It's an easy thing to do in science, right?
Yeah.
Like, just focus on the content and the science, but yeah.
So what happened if a student jumped in with a question? What happened to your mental script?
No, it was done. I ignored them.
Just
no,
plowed
nothing.
through?
Yeah, just plowed through. I just pretend I didn't see them. Hopefully that's changed.
Along with being a biology teacher, biology instructor, you've been involved in other other things around the university, I should say, including the mentor program through the Teaching Center. So what advice would you give new academic staff?
Well, I think if I had to, think about advice I would have liked to have received back when I started, it's, again, focus on your students and change one little thing at a time. In order to try to build those relationships with your students, right? So start small. For example, come to class a little early and maybe talk to some students. That doesn't involve any extra planning on my part, right? It just is gaining the courage to go and sit next to one of them and look them in the face, and hopefully they want to interact with you. But rather than focus on your PowerPoint lesson or content, again, make little changes to try to get to know your students a little bit. It really makes everything so much easier if you know your students a little bit. And small little changes. The Teaching Center is great, and reach out for help. Ask your colleagues for help. What are your colleagues doing? And have one little goal every time you teach a course. This time I'm going to make this small change and see how it works. And rather than looking at, this is where I want to be eventually, and trying to reach that height in one semester, just make little tiny changes and focus on relationships rather than content. And that's what I wish somebody would have told me, right? But now I really try to put that into practice. Looking ahead for the fall semester, what's one little thing that I can do, and reflect on what I've just taught. What's one thing I can change to sort of make things a little bit better.
Yeah. Those small changes, really, just little, like you say, little tiny things to do that eventually work their way up to the bigger changes.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's great advice, and advice I wish I would have received.
The beauty of hindsight.
Yeah, that's right.
After X number of years.
That's right. Yeah. And also, you're never there, right? I think I used to think, okay, I'm gonna reach the point where I've got it all. I know all the answers. I'm as good as I'm gonna be, and I think that is not true. There's always room for improvement. And again, if you go back to you teach a different group of students every semester. And so if you are focused on teaching the students, then that never reaches an end. You just always keep going and try to do your best with that particular group of students.
Constantly evolving, especially when you see first year students every year. I find it's just a bright new batch.
That's right.
Bright new crop of students coming in, and then and like you say, getting to teach them when they get into second year and then third year, and seeing them go all the way through is really great.
That's one of the reasons I like to do convocation with you, right? You get to see the students that you've known for so long cross the stage, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, I get to meet their families.
Yeah, I get to meet their families.
Enjoy the celebration around it. Yeah, I love convocation.
Yeah, me too.
I just want to bring it back to you talking about taking your students out all over southern Alberta. Now I know. Just taking myself, I do chemistry demo shows. Just taking myself, there's a lot to it. So what is there to taking students on field trips? Yeah,
I mean, first of all, you have to decide if you want to go on campus. There's a set of forms and safety plans, et cetera, that you need to fill out and double check with the people at the top that you've done everything correctly. Taking them off campus is a whole other kettle of fish, and that involves a lot of forms, a lot of work, and a lot of reports. But really, at the end of the day, for teaching a field course, of course, you need to have the students outside. And there really is no better way, I think, than to connect textbook learning, theoretical learning from slides, and applying that to the natural world. And really, there's nothing better than teaching the students the characteristics of the rose family, right? And having them see pictures, even having them working with frozen flowers or flowers from the flower shop, but having them outside and walking around and being able to use that information that you've taught them. And then they see something, they see a plant growing, and they look at it and they get so excited because they say, oh, it's got this. Hey, Jenny, is this the rosaceae or whatever, right? And if you say yes, even if you say no and you gently point them to the right answer, they're so excited because that idea of applying something to the natural world and that application process to a living thing in nature, outside, I mean, there's nothing better. And then my favorite is when students send me years later, they'll be out on a hike and I'll get quite a few pictures right over it. They'll email me a picture and then, Jenny, look what I found, and it reminded me of this, and being able to remember what they've learned in my classes years later.
Wow, yeah.
And yeah, it's just the best.
And do they do this even when they're say going into a park or in their backyard? Do they even look for things like that in their yards?
Hopefully. Yeah. I mean, again, one of the ideas is to make those connections with nature. So one of my favorite assignments is just a journal assignment where they choose a plant. It can be in their backyard, it can be in a park, it can be in the coulees. And they sort of spend time with that plant, and they draw pictures, and they use the botanical language that I've taught them. And there's some personal reflection questions. And quite often I have them read Braiding Sweetgrass, which was the university book a couple years ago.
Okay, yeah.
And they try to make those connections with one growing thing, one plant, and watch it from bud all the way to fruit. And those connections with nature, even if it's in their backyard, I found that they really they expand, and connections with nature are important, I think, and helping students develop those is really important.
It's like an adopt a plant.
That's exactly right.
Adopt a flower
That's
kind
exactly
of
right.
program you got going there.
And again, I've had emails where people have gone back to find their plant, and let's hope that they've chosen a perennial, because if it's an annual, they can't find it. It's very upsetting.
That would be upsetting,
Yes,
I would think. My plant's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, so obviously this has to take place during a growing season,
Yes.
which means spring, summer.
Yeah.
So you teach these courses in the summer then?
Yeah, I mean, I have taught field botany during a regular semester just using frozen flowers, but we're sort of moving more, again, to only operate it in the summer. It's much easier to teach a field course in the summer. And then, so right now it's running, for example, I'm doing a joint class with a colleague, Katrina Mendez is teaching entomology, and I'm teaching field botany. But normally it's 6 weeks, summer session 1 of field botany. And then the rest of the summer I'm developing labs and also working out of the herbarium.
Oh, tell us about the herbarium.
Well, our herbarium is a research sort of institute here at the university, and it is where any plants that are used during research or collecting are pressed and housed in a bunch of cabinets in a room and used for research. So most major universities have a herbarium, and I work with the herbarium and summer students. So for example, this summer we have a student along with Jenny McCune. I have a student that has an NSERC, and his name is Jesse Clark, and he's looking at sort of indigenizing, creating an indigenous collection out of the herbarium, rather than just looking at this through a Western science lens. He's looking at it through an Indigenous lens. He's from Pekani. We also started a big project on including non-vascular plants or mosses in the herbarium. So I have two students working on that. And we do some general collecting. So I like to have use in my Biology 1020 or some of my other courses, use plants that we've collected throughout the summer. So again, students learn a little bit about our native flora. So the herbarium is a really active part of the biology program. And Dr. John Bain is the director, and Jenny McCune and I are both helping out in there and sharing students and just trying to keep it a vital part of both the biology department and the university itself.
Oh. And I think you mentioned to me before you've got volunteers working in there as well.
Yeah.
Like community volunteers, not necessarily students. Why don't you tell us a bit about that?
So I teach a lot of courses through the Helen Schuler Cooley Center, again, using my herbarium hat. So I teach just a Cooley plant identification course. And from there, and just from general interest, I started a volunteer program. So I've got community members coming in and helping process plants that we collected, filing, gluing plants, just being part of the community that is the herbarium. And I also started an undergraduate volunteer program. So I've got the community people coming in and helping out. I've got some undergraduate students that I recruit them from Bio 1020. That's one of the nice things about teaching a first year class. Again, just trying to make the herbarium a part of the community, part of the institution, and then having people know about it and keeping it a vital part of the program and and the university.
So your teaching goes outside the university
Yes,
into the
it
community
does.
too.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
pretty big.
because of the idea of focusing on the university and the land that it's on, I also worked with the Galt Museum.
Okay.
And William Singer III, his Blackfoot name is Apusumaka, which means running coyote. Him and I did a lot of programming together where he would choose a single plant species. And we would share some time, and I would explain or talk about this plant using a Western science approach, and Apusumaka would talk about the same plant using an Indigenous approach, his own cultural approach.
Okay.
And it's sort of a two-eyed seeing way to really show that all of our flora and all of our plants and all of the living world can be viewed using a Western science lens, but equally valid is the Indigenous or cultural lens, and the technology associated with that is just as advanced as the technology that we think of more in line with Western. And so separate, but equal. And so that's a big part of what I do out of the herbarium as well.
So the two lenses are quite different then?
Yes.
They don't, not much room for overlap? Or
well, I mean, of course, I'm learning all the time how much overlap there is.
Oh, okay,
but
yeah.
sort of, I guess my main goal is to help shed light on the fact that sort of Indigenous viewpoint with respect to the flora, and that's what I've learned about. That technology and science is just as advanced as what a Western approach to science is, and so I've learned a lot, and it's been a really great part of my learning as well.
And then you can take that into your classrooms as well.
Well, I mean, I'm always pretty careful, but I really do want my students to know about again, trying to show that there's another way, a cultural way, an Indigenous way to view all of this science, the Western science that we're focused on. So just making them aware that it exists as well, showing them some resources, showing them some programming that they can go to and learn themselves, and I think it's really important.
Yeah, with all that you've described that you do, how on earth do you find the time to do all that?
Oh, well, you just got to be organized. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? We've covered a lot of ground today, but is there anything else that you want to mention?
One thing that sort of has come to mind is don't be scared to try something new. So I've taught for a long time, and even me, sometimes I have an idea, and I'm getting much better at it. But the first time, for example, I tried team-based learning in my big first-year course, I was terrified. In fact, I forced Jeff to come to my class and help me because I was so scared. But I was able to, I guess, overcome that fear a little bit and really try something new. And it worked out really, really well. Other things I've tried haven't worked as well. But I think, sort of having the courage to try something that you've never tried before is really, really important, because it may not go exactly how you think it's going to go, but it gets easier and easier to try new things. And some of them are going to work out, So I think that's something else I would encourage people to do, is just have the courage to try something new, and try not to be so focused on it's not going to work, and everything's going to fall apart, because it won't. And it's just it's a good way to grow as a teacher.
And do your students appreciate when you try something new?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I think honestly, anything that you try that's not you at the front, just sort of spouting information so the students have to do something. I mean, they a lot of them think, I just want to sit here. Yeah. But when you encourage them to get involved and try, they may groan a little bit, but they secretly love it. And so I think that's really important.
Yeah, the active learning is very, very big.
It really is.
As you know from the instructional skills workshop.
Yes.
We encourage active learning.
Yes. It's the best thing, right? And it doesn't have to be everybody up doing a dance. There are ways to incorporate active learning in a smaller scale. But again, trying to break that, I'm going to deliver the information to you and you're going to passively receive it. I think that there's a lot more to teaching than that model.
Especially in first year, when that might be what they're expecting when they come into a large 180, 200 student
think
class
so.
is just to sit there and
Yeah.
absorb the information that you give.
Yeah. And that idea of just having to sit there and absorb information, I think that is what they're expecting. And so when you throw something new at them at the very first time, they're maybe a little surprised, but you just are enthusiastic and you move forward like, of course, this is the way it's going to be. And by a few weeks in, it just becomes the normal way that your classroom runs. And then they forget that they're supposed to just sit there. They come in every lecture with an expectation of, I'm going to be doing something or talking to somebody, and it makes for a much better experience for them, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your insights,
you.
Jenny. And again, once again, congratulations
thank
on winning your well-deserved
Thank
Excellence in
you.
Teaching Award. As we could see from everything you said, very, very well deserved.
Thanks, Wayne. Thank you very much.